Priori Incantatum. Priori Incantatum is the moment Harry Potter stops being a children's series and becomes a full-on afterlife TED Talk. Because here's the thing nobody likes to admit. This spell doesn't show echoes of magic. It resurrects fully conscious ghost people with dialogue, memories, emotions, and the ability to give tactical advice. Voldemort isn't dueling Harry. He's accidentally hosting a Zoom meeting with the afterlife, and the Wi-Fi out there is apparently incredible. And the plot holes start instantly. If the spell shows all past magic in reverse, then Voldemort's wand should have spat out hundreds of Cruciatus curses, a few dozen Imperius victims, possibly a chair he transfigured in third year, and at least 73 spiders. Instead, it handpicks the 4 characters with the most emotional impact. Convenient? Yes. Canon consistent? Absolutely not. Then there's Cedric, a guy who died in 0.1 seconds suddenly appears fully lucid, calm, and ready to coach Harry like it's a Quidditch match. Take my body back, okay? Sir, you were vaporized 2 minutes ago. And the biggest hole? If Priori Incantatum can show murdered souls, then Avada Kedavra isn't untraceable. Just take the suspect's wand and boom, CSI Wizarding World. Every single Death Eater should have been arrested by lunchtime. This spell doesn't just break the rules, it bulldozes the entire magic system. Resurrection Ritual. Voldemort's resurrection ritual is the moment the Wizarding World goes full DIY immortality kit. Because this spell doesn't bring Voldemort back, it prints him. Like a 3D printer powered by trauma, bone dust, and a crying servant. At this point, the Wizarding World should come with a warning label. Dark Lords may spontaneously assemble when ingredients are mixed incorrectly. The plot holes? Astronomical. First, the ingredients. Flesh of the servant makes sense. Bone of the father? Sure. But blood of the enemy raises a cosmic question. Why Harry specifically? The prophecy says Neville could have been the chosen one, meaning Voldemort didn't need blood of the nemesis. He needed blood of any teenager that annoyed him slightly. Then there's the final product. Voldemort rises with a fully assembled adult body, working vocal cords, a freshly restored magical core, regenerated organs, and a face missing a nose like the ritual accidentally deleted one of his texture files. Dude, what happened? Did the nose melt, or was it never included in the recipe? Why would a ritual that uses Harry's blood create a body immune to Harry's sacrificial protection? Why does Harry's blood bind Voldemort to life instead of, making him explode? Worst of all, if this ritual works, the entire Wizarding World should be crawling with resurrected Dark Lords every decade. Grindelwald, Riddle Sr., Bellatrix, even Mad Eye if someone got sentimental. Expelliarmus. Expelliarmus is the funniest plot hole in the entire Harry Potter franchise. It's a first-year spell, a literal baby spell, something you'd use to prank your sibling during Christmas, and somehow it becomes the most powerful move in the wizarding meta. It beats Avada Kedavra. It defeats Voldemort. It wins the war. Expelliarmus is basically the Glock of the Wizarding World. Think about it. A spell designed to politely remove objects from hands is canonically stronger than the Killing Curse? That's like countering a nuclear missile with a leaf blower and somehow winning. The plot holes go deeper. If Expelliarmus forcibly rips objects from the target, shouldn't it tear arms off, dislocate shoulders, yoink someone's spine if they're wearing a backpack? And aiming? Wizards constantly miss unforgivables, but Expelliarmus apparently comes with auto-aim, wallhack, and aimbot. It always works. Also, Expelliarmus breaks the entire wand ownership system. If a simple disarm transfers wand loyalty, then every duel in history is invalid. Half the Wizarding World should technically belong to Harry by accident. The final plot hole? If Expelliarmus counters Avada Kedavra, then why does anyone ever die? Every wizard should walk around mashing Expelliarmus like it's a fighting game spam move. This spell didn't disarm Voldemort, it disarmed the entire canon. Obliviate. Let's be honest, Obliviate isn't a spell, it's a factory reset for human beings. It erases memories the way Ron deletes snacks from the Gryffindor table, constantly, aggressively, and without a single thought about long-term consequences. And the plot holes begin instantly, because this one spell should have ended the entire series in book 1. If memory charms can wipe events, ideas, skills, and even personality traits, then why aren't there Obliviation squads scanning for illegal memory tampering? Why isn't every aura trained to instantly restore corrupted memories? And why is Lockhart canonically the goat of Obliviate, allowed to travel alone across continents, rewriting people's lives like a deranged fanfiction editor. And here's the question nobody wants to ask. Why didn't anyone use Obliviate on Voldemort? Or on the Death Eaters? Or, plot twist, why didn't Voldemort use it on Harry, Dumbledore, or literally anyone standing in his way? If the spell can rewrite identity, every major villain and every major hero is one memory wipe away from becoming a confused, harmless civilian. And the darkest one, Snape was a master of the mind, the king of occlumency, legilimency, silent spells, and subtle magic. So why didn't he use Obliviate on Voldemort to protect Lily? One memory charm and the prophecy disappears. Meanwhile, we know Obliviate isn't difficult. Lockhart accidentally nukes his own brain with it, proving the spell is nuclear-grade simple. Just point, say the word, and hope your wand isn't held together with spellotape. The worst implication? If wizards can rewrite memories endlessly, then every historical event in the wizarding world is unreliable. Wars, treaties, scandals, political shifts, any of it could have been edited, polished, or deleted entirely. Accio. Accio is the spell that proves the wizarding world has no idea how dangerous its own magic is. On paper, it's a harmless summoning charm. In reality, it's a spell that lets you drag anything across the planet straight into your hands. No rules, no limits, no questions asked. Wizards think they're summoning socks, when in truth, they're one bad idea away from rewriting global geography. Let's explore what happens when you apply Accio like an unhinged Ravenclaw. Accio Moon. Goodbye Earth. Accio Money. The Weasleys would have retired instantly. Accio Girlfriend. Congratulations, you've reinvented magical kidnapping. And if we get a little bullying creative, Accio Draco's left eyeball. The kind of medical emergency even Madame Pomfrey would refuse to comment on. This is not a convenience spell. This is a ballistic missile launcher disguised as a household charm. Plot hole number 1. Accio doesn't require line of sight, meaning you can summon literally anything at any distance. Wands, Horcruxes, airplanes, people's shoes, the contents of Gringotts, or the bomb someone is standing on. Plot hole number 2. If the object arrives at insane speed, it would hit the caster so hard they'd basically evaporate on impact. And if it doesn't hold together, then you're summoning a high-speed cloud of sharp flying pieces straight into your face. Plot hole number 3. Why does the wizarding world even have doors, locks, security, prisons? 10-year-olds can bypass all infrastructure with Accio keys. But the funniest part, Harry once hears his broom approaching during Accio, which proves the spell is slower than sound. So either Accio is subsonic, or the wizarding world is one correct casting away from becoming a crater. Either way, the spell is the most casually apocalyptic spell ever taught to children. Avada Kedavra. Avada Kedavra is marketed as the wizarding world's ultimate press this to delete someone's spell. Instant, silent, elegant, devastating. But the more you look at it, the more it behaves like a magical drama queen, instead of behaving like a consistent killing curse. Avada Kedavra acts like a moody house elf. Sometimes it obeys instantly, sometimes it refuses to work, and sometimes it goes off in a completely different direction, like it has personal opinions about who deserves to live. Avada Kedavra isn't a spell, it's magical roulette with a green laser. For starters, it's supposed to be unstoppable, but every wizard who uses it aims like they failed basic wand handling class. Death Eaters fire it in every battle but hit the floor, the ceiling, a random pumpkin, everything except the hero standing directly in front of them. But it gets even dumber. Avada Kedavra leaves no trace, no burns, no wounds, no impact, nothing, which means every magical murder investigation is basically, the victim is dead. How tragic. Anyway, case closed. The entire justice system collapses the moment someone asks for actual evidence. The final insult? Expelliarmus beats it. A first-year disarming spell counters the deadliest curse ever created. That's like deflecting a tank shell with a broom. Avada Kedavra isn't terrifying because it kills. It's terrifying because it makes no sense. Transfiguration. Transfiguration is the spell category where the wizarding world quietly admits, yeah, we didn't think any of this through. Because this isn't magic, it's reality editing. You're not changing objects, you're rewriting matter, biology, consciousness, and the concept of being alive. And Hogwarts gives this to 11-year-olds like it's an arts and crafts elective. The plot holes are cosmic. If you can turn a desk into a pig, then you can create food, violating Gamp's law instantly. If you can turn a human into a ferret, While they remain conscious, then you can create an entirely new species and condemn someone to permanent animalhood. If you mess up, you get the worst outcome of all, a semi-sentient chair silently begging for death. And Transfiguration gets even darker when you follow its logic to the extreme. Transfigure someone into glass, drop them, instant tragedy. Transfiguration physics don't care about ethics. Turn the walls into paper, suddenly security becomes a suggestion. One mispronounced spell and Hogwarts collapses like a sad magical origami. Turn a Death Eater into a chicken, feathers everywhere, existential crisis included, poultry-based justice at its finest. And here's the part nobody thinks about. Nothing stops a transfigured object from reverting after the caster dies, meaning that family heirloom you've cherished for generations might actually be your great-uncle Greg, waiting to unchair himself. Time Turner. Time travel in Harry Potter is the moment the franchise accidentally introduces a mechanic capable of undoing every plot, every death, every crime, and every mistake, and then pretends it's only useful for attending double classes. The entire wizarding world is collapsing under dark wizards, but Hermione uses a time machine to get a better academic schedule. The logic disintegrates immediately. If the timeline is fixed, then nothing can be changed, which means Buckbeak was never in danger. Sirius was never escaping, and every choice the trio makes is predetermined. If the timeline can change, then the entire past is vulnerable to paradoxes, erasures, duplicates, and self-terminating loops. The books literally describe people going insane after encountering alternate versions of themselves. And forget Cursed Child, the plot holes already existed decades earlier. Why didn't Dumbledore reverse Pettigrew's betrayal? Why didn't the Ministry use time turners to confirm Voldemort's return? Why didn't anyone simply time travel 5 minutes before the attack on the Potters and stop it? Time travel should have reshaped magical politics, warfare, and criminal justice, but instead gets locked in a cupboard like an iPad for misbehaving toddlers. This isn't a spell, it's the nuclear bomb of narrative consistency. Imperius Curse. The Imperius Curse is the most terrifying spell in the wizarding world, not because it forces obedience, but because it raises 1,000 questions the books never answer. It doesn't just puppeteer your body, it rewrites your emotional state, suppresses fear and pain, and replaces your conscience with a soothing voice telling you everything is fine. And the implications get darker the more you think about it. Someone under Imperius can still cast magic. They can cast the same curse on others. Nothing in canon prevents a single dark wizard from creating a chain reaction of Imperius victims until an entire ministry department is operating under one person's will. Magical society is one charismatic sociopath away from collapsing. Legally, the spell is a nightmare. Any criminal can claim, I was under Imperius. Any politician can secretly enslave rivals. Any Auror could be compromised without knowing it. And morally, if the spell requires desire to dominate, then every successful Imperius caster is clinically revealing something about their psyche. And here's the plot hole everyone avoids. If Imperius is this powerful, why didn't anyone try using it on Voldemort? If it works on skilled adult wizards, why not the Dark Lord? Why not a Death Eater? Why not, at the very least, Lucius on a bad day? The Order never even attempts it, even though, in theory, one successful Imperius could have ended the war before it began. Even Harry resisting it is bizarre. In the books, the spell makes him feel peaceful, and that alone freaks him out. Harry Potter treats calm like it's dark magic. The Imperius Curse isn't mind control, it's the end of free will disguised as a spell. Hominum Revelio. Hominum Revelio is the spell that quietly destroys the entire espionage, stealth, and security system of the wizarding world. With one flick of the wand, you can detect every human in a building. Invisible, polyjuiced, disillusioned, stuffed under the floorboards, or hanging from the ceiling like a traumatized house elf. And here's the nightmare scenario. If this spell works universally, Hogwarts has zero privacy. No secret meetings, no midnight adventures, no Dumbledore disappearing mysteriously. Every student and professor becomes a walking magical radar blip. It also breaks every infiltration scene ever written. Death Eaters sneaking into the castle, the Marauders roaming undetected, Crouch Jr. impersonating Moody for an entire school year. All impossible. One Hominum Revelio and the whole masquerade collapses instantly. constantly. And it gets worse. The spell is easy, not dark, not restricted, not even specialized. Hermione pulls it off casually in book 7, meaning any wizard could scan crowds, hunt fugitives, or check for imposters faster than the Ministry fills out paperwork. So why doesn't the Ministry use it at checkpoints? Why doesn't the Order use it in battles? Why aren't Azkaban guards sweeping the prison 24/7? Because if Hominum Revelio worked the way canon claims, 90% of the wizarding world's problems evaporate before the story even begins. But you know what actually makes sense? Watching all 5 Wizarding Wars in Harry Potter explained. That's your next lesson at Stickman Hogwarts. Snape's waiting. Click now before he locks the door.